Hello, I'm John Bachman. Welcome to Newsmax TV. We're here in South Florida where Mitt Romney's surrogates have spread out across South Florida ahead of the last presidential debate. Today we had a chance to speak to one of those surrogates, Charles Schwab, the famous investor. We're sitting here with Charles Schwab. I want to thank you for taking some time to talk with us. Of course, most people know you for revolutionizing the brokerage account and making investing accessible to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the globe.
Well, thank you, John, for having me here and having the interview and being down in Jupiter. It's always a great pleasure for me to come to Florida and see many of my friends and enjoy all the amenities that Florida has.
Well, since you're here in Florida, which of course is a very important state during this presidential election, many retirees here may determine who becomes the next president. Since you're supporting Governor Romney, tell us which one of President Obama's policies has been the most damaging to these retirees and people who are trying to live off of their investments and savings.
Well, I think, John, the most difficult thing I have to see and watch the Obama administration is their almost no growth policy. Every way you turn, it seems as if they're suppressing growth, both on an attitudinal thing, raising taxes, more regulation. It goes on and on and on. And what has happened is the Obama administration has really deferred to the Federal Reserve to do anything that might help the economy. They brought interest rates down. In fact, they brought rates down to near zero. Well, the implication is that who took the brunt of all that? It's the seniors. There are 40 million seniors of us in the United States. Florida has a huge population of seniors, as you mentioned, and these people are suffering. They get virtually no interest on their CDs, their money market accounts, their savings accounts. These are things that people planned on 35 and 40 years ago. They've just seen their income, their nest egg, sort of disappear. Yes, they have the principal there, and that's safe, but none of the income that they had planned on to supplant their Social Security.
So, should Governor Romney be elected? Do you see him raising interest rates, and how do you do that without having a negative impact?
What he will do, he won't be raising rates or lowering them or that. What will happen is the economy will pick up steam, will start growing again. People will become employed, more tax revenue will come off people's employment, will go to different states and federal kinds of institutions with more taxes from the tax revenue, that is. And the growth more people will get employed. It'll sort of spin on its own way as we grow out of this thing. We need about a 3% growth. And so I would recommend to seniors, find the president that is going to make us grow faster. If you ever want to have any income from your savings account, we've got to get a growing economy. And that's the only way interest rates will ever go up. And that's a natural thing. Get back to normal. Normal was when we had a 3% coupon, so to speak, on our savings account. It's zero today.
So in other words, Governor Romney wouldn't nudge the Federal Reserve. He would just implement policies that would cause natural growth, and then in turn, those interest rates would naturally.
Yeah, the Fed would have to increase rates because they flooded the whole world with money, United States included. And to check inflation, if we had growth with no increase in interest rates, we'd have massive inflation. But we have to get back to a growing economy in order for us to get some lift in interest rates for our savings accounts.
Let's talk about Governor Romney's tax plan. I'm sure you've taken a close look at this. He wants to cut the overall marginal tax rates by about 20% and then eliminate loopholes and deductions. What would this do to spur growth in this country?
Well, I think it would provide a great amount of psychological incentive. It would also inspire people that hard work is rewarded by their ability to keep more of their hard-earned income. In my case, someone who's been quite successful and lucky along the way, the overall net effect, my rates will probably go up about 10%, which I'm perfectly happy to do that because I spend a lot of my time now with non-for-profit institutions, and I give a lot of money away to them, and I'm able to deduct that. If they took that deduction away, lowered the rate from, let's say, 35% on the federal down to 28, the net would be, I'd have a 20% drop on that, and probably in my takeaway, the 30% on the deduction for contributions.
So we've heard some framework, I guess you could say, but not specifics. You would advocate for getting rid of the charitable tax deduction.
Well, I'm just saying if we if we abdicated or eliminated all deductions, I don't think he's going to do all that, but I'm just saying at my level, if you eliminate all deductions, I would end up paying slightly more in the way of taxes. Now, I'm sure he'll probably have exemptions for people in middle income of America, where they'll be able to deduct the mortgage payments that they're making, or interest on mortgage payments. That'll probably not go away. In my case, fortunately, being 75 years of age, I've paid off my mortgage finally, and I don't have a mortgage anymore, so I don't worry about the deductions.
You mentioned the psychological impact this could have. Do you think a lot of the problems right now with our economy are psychological? Well,
absolutely, but they're also instituted by the leader of the organization, meaning our president. When someone at the leader of any organization gives suppressing notes, beats up on different sectors of the economy for being too successful, that ends up converting people to being pretty depressed about their position. Successful people work hard, and that sort of, you're going to get less work, you're going to get less rewards, you're going to get less income, and I think we're in a funk right now as an economy.
And so the president's plan to raise taxes on that higher income families and businesses, what impact will that have?
It wouldn't be enough really to accomplish a fraction of the problem we have with deficits of over $1 trillion a year. So I don't think anyone who's successful is worried about paying slightly more. That's not the issue. You want to create a system of taxes that will maximize output, maximize work, maximize incentives to do work. And then out of the maximization of that, you get an adequate cash flow going to your federal government, your state, and counties.
Looking beyond the election into, I think what a lot of people would like to see is a real reform of the tax code and of our budgetary process and dealing with the debt and deficit. Is there any way you see that getting done without everyone having to pay a little bit more, whether it's the elimination of loopholes and deductions or whether it's an increase in tax rates? Are we all eventually going to have to pay a little more than we're paying right now?
I think we probably will, would be my guess, because we want more services, frankly. I think we all agree that if there's a large group, 30 million people supposedly, without insurance for their medical services, I think everyone feels we should help them too. That's going to cost a bunch of money. We all want a lot of new things in the economy, and some of that's going to take money. But what happens is once you start growing, there's all kinds of new money being created. But if you're shrinking, as we have been, it gets less, the pie gets smaller and smaller and smaller. We want to turn things around and get the pie bigger. Ends up becoming more people employed, more employment, ends up being more tax revenue for governments, and it just begets itself. The growth just sort of begets itself and increases the next level of growth.
In Jupiter, Florida, I'm John Bachman. Thanks for watching Newsmax TV.